After the age of 70, life enters a stage where peace matters more than people, and mental comfort matters more than social approval. Seniors spend a lifetime caring, forgiving, adjusting, and holding relationships together, but there comes a moment when the heart finally understands. Not everyone is meant to stay until the end. Letting go at this age is not an act of coldness, but an act of self-protection. At 70, emotional energy is just as valuable as physical health. The body can't handle stress the way it once did, and the mind can no longer carry the weight of toxic people. That friend who constantly complains, the relative filled with negativity, the adult child who only calls when they want something, these are not relationships, they are emotional traps. And escaping them is not cruelty, it is survival. People will say, "But you're old, you shouldn't cut people off." In reality, the older you are, the less time you have to waste on relationships that break your spirit. If someone only brings drama, guilt, or disrespect, keeping them in your life is not kindness, it is self-destruction. Letting go doesn't mean anger or revenge. It means choosing silence instead of arguments. It means choosing inner peace over forced conversations. It means no longer shrinking to keep others comfortable. Wisdom at 70 is knowing the difference between being alone and being at peace. You don't need a crowd. You need calm. You don't need everyone to like you. You need to like your own life. And the truth is simple. If a relationship still hurts you at 70, it was never healthy to begin with. Letting go is not the end of love, it's the beginning of self-respect. It is a declaration that your happiness matters too, even in old age. Because the final chapters of life must not be written by guilt, emotional pressure, or obligation. They must be written by freedom, clarity, and dignity. One of the most exhausting forms of relationships, especially after the age of 70, is the kind where people treat you like a backup option, not a real priority. These are the people who disappear when you need them, but suddenly show up when they need help, money, support, advice, or emotional attention. They don't call to ask how you are, they call to ask for something. And yet, many seniors still hold on to such people out of habit, guilt, or fear of being alone. But here's the truth most elders don't say out loud. Being used is far lonelier than being alone. At this stage of life, relationships should be built on respect, not convenience. Real love doesn't depend on what you can give, but on who you are. But people who only reach out when they need something are not staying for your company, they're staying for your benefits. They may call it family, friendship, or love, but in reality, it's transactional attachment. And seniors often fall into this emotional trap because they have a lifetime reputation of being giving, caring, and available. They raised children, helped siblings, supported friends, and now many of those same people remember them not with love, but with expectation. The older you get, the more you realize, some people don't love you, they love what you can do for them. A relationship that only works one way is not a bond, it's a burden. And the sad part, the minute you stop giving, they stop calling. That silence isn't loss, it's proof. After 70, your time is short, your energy is limited, and your heart deserves rest. You don't have to be a free therapist, free caretaker, or emotional ATM for anyone. Love should not feel like a job. If someone can't remember you in your quiet days, they don't deserve you in theirs. Let them go, not in anger, but in awareness. Because the right people don't remember you only when they need you. They remember you because they care. By the time a person reaches 70, They have already spent decades fulfilling responsibilities, raising children, supporting family, caring for parents, managing relationships, sacrificing dreams, and giving love in more ways than people will ever understand. But there comes a point in life when the heart finally realizes, you don't owe anyone your peace, not anymore. For most seniors, the biggest burden is not physical weakness, it's emotional pressure. Pressure to stay available, pressure to keep forgiving, pressure to keep giving, pressure to stay connected even when the relationship is draining every last drop of happiness. But peace is not a luxury at this age, it is a requirement. You've lived through storms, heartbreaks, sacrifices, and struggles. You've played the role of the strong one your whole life. Now, you don't owe the world constant access to your time, mind, or emotions. People may say, you've changed. No, you've finally chosen peace over pleasing. And that is not selfishness. That is emotional maturity. You don't owe anyone more patience if they never respected your boundaries. You don't owe anyone more explanations if they never valued your truth. You don't owe anyone constant forgiveness if they repeat the same hurt. You don't owe anyone your energy just because they're family. The most common regret elders have in their final years is not what they did, but what they tolerated. Peace is not found by adding more people. It is found by subtracting the wrong ones. When someone repeatedly disrespects your time, your values, your comfort, or your mental health, you have every right to step away, quietly, peacefully, and permanently. After 70, your peace is your medicine. Your silence is your strength. Your boundaries are your protection. And anyone who truly loves you will never make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. You are not responsible for fixing every relationship. You are not required to keep everyone happy. You are not obligated to break yourself to keep others whole. You gave the world enough. Now give something back to yourself. When people talk about aging, they speak of health, medicine, finances, and retirement. But no one talks about the emotional reality. The most priceless gift a senior can have is freedom from relationships that drain the soul. Because at 70, it is not the body that hurts the most, it is the heart that has carried emotional weight for decades. Throughout life, people collect relationships the way a tree collects branches: family, friends, relatives, neighbors, colleagues, in-laws. Some grow with you, some support you, some stay loyal, but many only stay attached, not connected. They use guilt, obligation, or emotional manipulation to keep you in a bond that only benefits them. And society tells seniors, don't break ties, compromise. Stay silent, they are family. You're old, just adjust. But here is the truth no one says out loud. A toxic bond becomes even more toxic with age. What you could ignore at 40 feels unbearable at 70. Arguments drain more energy. Disrespect hurts deeper. Stress affects health instantly. And fake love feels heavier than loneliness. That is why the biggest blessing at this stage of life is not having people around, but having the right people around. A peaceful morning alone is better than a lifetime spent with someone who makes you feel small, guilty, or unwanted. Freedom from toxic bonds is not a loss, it is the return of self-respect. Cutting off toxic people does not mean you are heartless. It means you have finally understood that love without peace is just emotional slavery. You don't have to wait for apologies that never come. You don't have to stay loyal to pain. You don't have to keep proving your kindness to people who will never appreciate it. At 70, every moment should feel light. Every relationship should feel safe. Every conversation should feel respectful. And every person in your circle should add value, not tension. Because the real wealth of old age is not money in the bank, but calmness in the mind. Not who comes to your house, but who brings peace to your heart. Not who calls you family, but who treats you with dignity. There is a shocking truth most people only realize late in life. The people who still exhaust you, stress you, disrespect you, or emotionally drain you at 70, have probably been doing it for decades. You didn't suddenly become tired of them. You simply became aware. When you are young, you tolerate more. You stay silent to keep peace. You sacrifice because you believe love means endurance. You ignore disrespect because you think time will change people. You give second chances, third chances, and then lifelong chances. But when you reach 70, the mask falls, not from them, but from your own eyes. You finally see who has always been feeding on your patience, kindness, and emotional strength. Someone who drains you at this age was never good for you. They were just more comfortable using you when you were stronger. They took your support when you had energy, your patience when you had health, your loyalty when you had no boundaries. And the saddest part, you mistook it for love, responsibility, or duty. But now, instead of asking, why are they like this? The real question becomes, why am I still allowing it? If a relationship still steals your happiness at 70, it is not a relationship, it is a burden disguised as connection. Whether it is a friend who only calls to complain, a child who only remembers you when they need money, a sibling who always brings negativity, or a partner who never valued your feelings, their behavior is not new. Only your tolerance is breaking. Old age is not a weakness, it is a filter. It shows you who truly loves you, and who only loved your benefits. You don't have to stay loyal to pain just because it is familiar. You don't have to keep feeding emotional vampires just because they share your bloodline. You don't have to continue relationships that destroy the peace you spent a lifetime earning. If they drain you now, they drained you then. You just finally learn to notice. And that awareness is the beginning of freedom. At a certain age, especially after 70, silence stops feeling like loneliness, it starts feeling like peace. Seniors spend many years trying to keep relationships alive through effort, conversation, compromise, and emotional investment. But with time comes wisdom, and wisdom reveals a painful truth. Some conversations are not connecting you, they are draining you. And some people are kept in your life only because you kept talking when you should have stopped. Fake relationships are the ones where you always listen, but they never hear you, where you always give, but they never return anything, where you keep the bond alive, but they only keep it convenient. These people smile in front of you, talk sweet, act polite, but the moment you stop giving them something, they vanish like smoke. That is not love, not friendship, not family, it is emotional acting. And at 70, you realize that a quiet afternoon with no phone call is better than a forced conversation that leaves you mentally tired and emotionally empty. Silence becomes a boundary. Distance becomes medicine, and peace becomes the new definition of love. Fake people talk a lot, but say nothing real. They pretend to care, but disappear when you need care. They remember you when it benefits them, not when it matters to you. And what's worse, you spent years believing that keeping them in your life made you a good person. But now you finally understand. Being used is not kindness. It is self-neglect. Silence is not weakness. It is clarity. It is a quiet way of saying, I choose myself now. I don't have time for drama anymore. I am done proving my worth to people who never valued it. The biggest peace in old age is not found in who stays, but in who you finally stop chasing. Saying nothing is sometimes the loudest message. No reply is a reply. And cutting communication with disrespectful people is not bitterness, it is healing. Fake people fear silence because it exposes their true intentions. Real people survive silence because their love was never based on benefits. So yes, a calm, quiet life with a few genuine souls is better than a noisy life filled with fake smiles. Many people believe that with time, relationships naturally heal, soften, or improve, but life teaches a harder truth. Toxic ties do not fade with age, they grow deeper roots. A painful relationship at 30 doesn't magically turn loving at 70. A disrespectful person in your youth won't suddenly value you in old age. Age doesn't fix people, wisdom does. Some bonds stay in your life not because they're healthy, but because you never questioned them. Family, childhood friends, long-term acquaintances, society teaches us to keep them no matter what. But years of history do not equal years of happiness. A long relationship is not the same as a good relationship. And growing older doesn't mean you must keep everyone who grew older with you. Wisdom, not time, is what finally allows you to say, "I don't care how long I've known you. If you don't respect me, you don't belong in my life." At 70, wisdom becomes sharper than emotions. You stop excusing bad behavior. You stop believing, maybe they'll change. You stop carrying the weight of people who never carried yours. You finally understand that loyalty is not about staying, it is about being valued while staying. Some ties are not broken because they are unbreakable. They are unbroken because you never allowed yourself to walk away. You kept giving chances. You tolerated disrespect. You stayed quiet to keep peace. But the truth is, peace built on silence is pain in disguise. Wisdom frees you from that. It tells you that love without respect is not love. That guilt is not a reason to stay. That emotional blood relations are more important than biological ones. That distance can heal what closeness keeps hurting. And the most powerful realization: you don't have to wait for someone to leave your life. You can choose to close the door, even at 70. Cutting a toxic tie doesn't mean your heart is hard. It means your soul has finally learned to breathe. Letting go isn't betrayal, it is alignment. Walking away isn't weakness, it is wisdom. And removing the wrong people isn't loss, it is self-rescue. After a lifetime of work, sacrifice, and responsibility, the years after 70 are supposed to be the golden years. A time of calm mornings, slow sunsets, meaningful conversations, and hearts that feel safe. But that golden peace becomes impossible when your life is still surrounded by emotional parasites. People who drain your energy, steal your joy, and feed on your kindness without ever giving anything back. An emotional parasite is not just someone who argues or criticizes, it is someone who survives on your emotional labor. They take your time, your attention, your sympathy, your money, your patience, but they never nourish your soul. They come to collect, not to connect. They treat your love like a resource, not a relationship. And seniors often tolerate such people for too long, because they are taught to adjust, forgive, tolerate, keep peace, or stay close to family. But age does not make toxicity softer, it makes it heavier. What you once ignored becomes unbearable. What you once brushed off becomes harmful. Emotional stress at 70 doesn't just hurt the heart, it harms the health, the sleep, and even the will to live. That's why the golden years are not meant for crowds, they are meant for quality. You don't need many people around you. You just need the right ones. The ones who don't drain you, don't use you, don't guilt you, and don't demand more than they give. The ones who bring peace, not pressure. Joy, not judgment. Warmth, not weight. Because the truth is simple. Check mark: better to have 2 people who care than 20 people who pretend. Check mark: better to eat alone in peace than dine with people who belittle you. Check mark: better to live quietly than live surrounded by noise that hurts your soul. You have spent decades being strong, patient, forgiving, and available. Now you deserve people who make life lighter, not heavier. People who respect your time, protect your emotions, and bring light into your last chapters, not shadows. Your golden years are not a second chance for toxic people. They are a reward for everything you survived. So choose wisely. Not everyone deserves a seat in the peace you earned. Because the final stage of life is not about how many people you have. It's about how many people truly honor your heart.